What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Hey, look, it's the Draft Nerds here, back with another episode of Film Session. Today, we're going to be breaking down some prospects for your enjoyment. Today, I'm joined by, the voice of Draft Nerds and Mr. Colts Nation, Jay Robbins. What's up, Jay? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. Except for there's one thing. I'm a little mad. And you know why?
Why are you mad?
It's March. It's time for some madness.
It is. It is time for some madness. I know it's called March Madness, but we're going to have some April Madness when this draft comes because of all the moving pieces in this draft. I know we spoke about this in Spaces, Jay. You talked about how this is probably the most compelling draft in a while, right? Because of the amount of quarterbacks we could see in the first round, because of how deep the offensive line class is, and also how deep the wide receiver class is. We could see some really good players fall out of the first round. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. There's going to be like a good chance that like 7 wide receivers could be off the board in the first round potentially. Like there's just a huge cluster of guys who you could see going there. And on top of that, offensive line is going to fly off the board. Like you said, quarterbacks, especially for this draft, a lot of defensive talent is going to be pushed down boards that they wouldn't normally be pushed down just because of the sheer wealth of offensive talent at those premium positions. So I'm really excited to see how compelling that will be and like what values teams are going to get, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Let me ask you, do you have a top 5 wide receiver? Have you done a top 5 in this draft, wide receivers?
Man, I have been going back and forth for that number 5 spot for quite a while. Okay. And man, it's the more I dig in and the more game tape that I watch, the more harder the decision, I swear. Like we all know the top 3, but the 2 I'm going between, it also really depends on what you're looking for that, like for 4 and 5, because as we're going to see, there's 2 guys from the same school who have some pretty different profiles that you could really fall in love with. There's a few guys from the Seminoles who might be really interesting, and there's a few other ones from Tiger Country that could be really, really up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This wide receiver class is super compelling. Last night I kind of started doing the film session and breaking down some things I like. I finally got access to my all 22 stuff now, so I decided to run some of it back. So we're going to do Xavier Worthy today. We're going to also do AD Mitchell. We're going to do Mohamed Kamara from edge rusher from Colorado State. We're going to do Cooper DeJean from Iowa. And who was the last one? Who was the last guy?
Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo Rocket.
Yes. The Rocket is a great name for him because he's a high riser in this draft. I feel like about a few months ago, not many people knew who he was. He goes out to the Mobile, has an awesome Senior Bowl, and now he's firmly cemented as a top 15 pick in this draft.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. Like his tape is very, very fun to watch. Just absolutely dominating teams in the MAC, and his performance in the Senior Bowl really opened eyes for everyone. Knew what he could do against MAC competition, but then what he did in Mobile against the best, just reinforced everything that we saw.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into some film of Mr. Worthy. All right, here we go. So we're gonna go back a little bit, right? So this is Worthy versus Alabama 2022. Sometime in order to go forward, you got to go backwards. That's Worthy in motion. So he's very like I've heard a lot of people compare him to John Ross, and I think that's unfair. I think it's a lazy comparison. The only reason why people do that is because of his speed. But he is much more than that. He's much more than just a vertical guy. He runs really good routes. He plays through contact really well for a guy his size, and obviously we know he has the speed.
Also with John Ross, a lot of his speed was more straight line compared to what Xavier brings. Xavier brings a lot of lateral agility. He brings actual game speed that you didn't always see with John Ross. Ross was an absolute speed demon, but the cuts that we see and like the change in tempo as well in terms of polish on some of these routes, it is very, very fun to watch for Xavier Worthy. So much more of a finished product. And on top of that, John Ross couldn't catch. Worthy, he's got a lot better hands than John Ross.
That was the main thing, right? I always say that, I was like, people, we talk about route running, we talk about separation, but one thing we don't talk about enough to me is the obvious trait that you need to have as a wide receiver, and that's hands. Can you catch? Right? Yeah. Because you can run the sauciest routes, but if you can't catch, doesn't matter.
It negates everything.
Watch this. Oh, lays out for it. Remember we talked about him months ago, and I said he reminds me of a better version of Hollywood Brown, right? Because he plays a little more physical than Hollywood, plays a little more stronger at the catch point than Hollywood, but his game is very similar to Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, like a hybrid of like Hollywood, a little bit Tyreek you can see in there.
Yeah, he's not as stout as Tyreek. Tyreek's pretty built. Because he's a little shorter.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely plays strong for a guy's size. Man, that Texas offense was loaded like a year ago. Not 23, but the 22 team. I mean, you had Bijan Robinson, you had Xavier Worthy.
You got 80.
Was 80 there in 22? Or was he
there?
Still in Georgia? I think he was still in Georgia.
No, he was still in Georgia, yeah.
Yeah. That last year was his first year in Texas. I think he only played the 1 year.
And also, speaking of Mitchell, like we were talking about hands before with Worthy, Mitchell, AD Mitchell, he has the second best hands in this class in terms of drop rate at like 1.8%. That's a very underrated trait of his that I've been noticing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you want, man. Today's NFL, the game is super wide open. It's a spread offense. It's everywhere in the league. The league looks a lot like college now, which is allowing these kids to come in and translate right away, right? But what you want to see is, can they do the simple things? Can they catch the football? Because that's the most important thing. All of these guys can run. All of these guys, they go into route running training camps and all of that. So they know how to run routes. Can you catch the football, especially in traffic?
Yeah. Contested catches are highly valuable if you can get that. But of course, getting separation, while there is levels to route running. But yeah, these it's always important to get that separation. And then in case you don't, get that jump ball up.
He sells out. Let's go back to that last one. He really, like, when the ball is in the air, man, it's his, right? Look at this. This is the second time he goes and just gets a football.
Yeah, that's a good outrunning them, but still has a little bit of hands in his face there. Like, it isn't like the pure jump ball, but it's the concentration catch right there.
There you go. My man Flock Attorney says AD was his lone year in Texas. So yeah. He only had 1 year there.
Yeah, no worries.
Man, I can't wait to do some of these offensive linemen, man. I actually promised somebody I would do some guys. I feel like I've talked about Troy Fontenot enough. There's a guy I do want to do. I want to do the kid from Yale, Kieran Dimajay, I think his last name is.
Yeah, Kieran, he is a very fun one. I've been a big fan of him.
He is a dancer.
He's going around too.
Yes, he is. And I'm hoping he goes to the Ravens. So, but he's a dancing bear, bro. He just mauls people in the run game. Love it.
Also, you've been noticing sometimes with Xavier right here, you're seeing a lot of motion as well at times.
Yes.
And it is an absolute weapon that teams can exploit, that defensive has to keep in mind, because with his pure speed, and agility, he's going to be able to take a reverse to the house if you're not careful.
I talked about as well. People, one of the knocks on him is, well, he doesn't get off press, right? But the problem is, the question was, will he struggle getting off press because of his size? My thing is, who's going to have the guts to press him? He runs 4.2. If you press him and you miss, it's curtains, right? Like, so not many DBs have the speed to press him with confidence because if he beats you, if he gets off the line, it's over with. Not only that, like you just mentioned, with his speed, you can line him up in the slot in different ways where he can get free releases.
Yeah. And with
the game is so flat and simple like it used to be, where it's just we gonna line up mano y mano and just your man beat your man. No, the NFL is different now. Football is different. It's all about strategy, moving guys around like chess pieces.
Yeah, like if you got a rhythm quarterback who can hit him in stride and he doesn't have to like slow down, there's not going to be many guys who are going to be catching him before the catch point, let alone after.
Right. That's a good matchup, him and Terrion Arnold.
Ooh. Now, Terrion, he is an elite, agile corner. Like, he can stop and go on the dime. So that is a great matchup for him.
Yeah, that's Kool-Aid on the blitz. It's another draft prospect, number 1 right here coming out there on the blitz. Him and Will Anderson.
He snuck by him.
Yeah, he did. Kool-Aid was much better last year in 2022 than he was in 2020.
Yeah. He regressed a little bit, but he still has some strong coverage instincts. He's just bit a few times on some double fakes and deep. And then there was questions about his overall athleticism compared to some of these other top cornerback prospects. Because
I believe this is the game where Texas actually beat Alabama in this game. I think they beat Alabama. This was early in the season.
Nice.
Look at the block. Look at the block by Worthy on the outside. Doing the dirty work. Watch this. Number 1 right here. Look at him. Look at him. There you go. That's all it takes. You ain't got to be the biggest.
Yeah, and with him on that crossing route, you saw all the linebackers and the nickel. They were keeping their eyes down low on him, and it just helps out another receiver to break over top. Like, you can use him in a very interesting way underneath that has to be respected by defenses.
Yeah, he gets a lot of attention for sure.
Yeah. Because with that speed, you're very likely not going to have that one guy who can keep up with him. So with how many zone defenses that are like becoming more and more prevalent in the league, you're going to have multiple guys keeping their eyes on both Worthy and the quarterback. It's going to allow some windows for those guys over the top.
Absolutely.
A good play designer is going to have a field day with Worthy in their offense. And there is talk. The Colts had a lot of people at the Texas Pro Day. We're talking GM, head coach, Reggie Wayne, the wide receiver coach, plenty of scouts. Like, they put an entire ensemble right down there in Texas. And there's a lot of good, like, Texas players that they could be watching. But the fact that they brought Reggie means they were looking at those wide receivers, both A.D. Mitchell and Worthy.
Yeah, and they both performed really well at the Pro Day.
Yeah. I mean, I was seeing some screenshots of Reggie reacting to it, and he was looking damn impressed. And if you're impressing Reggie Wayne, you're doing a damn good job.
Agreed. Who do you think he was impressed more by? AD or
I'm going to say that Worthy might be his guy, but A.D. Mitchell fits Ballard's prototype better. But the question is, are we going away from the prototype? Because Josh Downs did not fit that prototype at all last year.
No, he didn't.
Could we see a shift in that and having Worthy be the new Z receiver instead of Alec Pierce, getting a more smaller, shiftier, faster guy to just go deep, as well as getting some more underneath usage out of that position?
Xavier reminds me a lot. He reminds me a lot of T.Y. Hilton as well.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Gives you a lot of T.Y. Hilton vibes.
Yeah. like almost an amped up Ty in terms of just pure raw burner. Like, but Ty had some strength to him too. Like Worthy had, like the top of those routes are nasty.
For sure. Ty was the truth, man. I think he played for Florida Atlantic.
Florida International.
International, yeah.
And now his son Eugene is a junior in high school right here in Indianapolis. This kid is insane. He's gonna be like a 3 or 4 star. Yeah. And he's like 6'2", so imagine a 6'2" T.Y. Hilton. That's not gonna be fun for defenses. All right.
This kid outruns angles, man. Unbelievable the way he outruns angles. All right, let's jump ahead to this year. Let's go. Let's jump ahead. Go back to this year versus. Let's go back. Let's go watch him against Iowa State. Let's watch that one. All right. It is bottom of your screen.
It's having some weird cuts on this tape right here.
He's really crafty as a route runner.
Yeah. Ooh,
good
open. Got caught a little bit there, but
he did. Well, he had to slow down. You see how he had to stop to catch the ball. If he didn't have to stop, the quarterback can kind of throw it ahead of him so he can run and catch it. He might even score on that.
Yeah, if he gets the right rhythm passer, he's going to be a dangerous man. Problem is there are quite a few quarterbacks out here who don't have the same accuracy as like some of the quarterbacks back in the day.
Yeah.
That it's really going to be a fit issue for how much we can maximize them.
Right. Now, if he goes to the Ravens, obviously Lamar is not a rhythm, like a timing passer. He's not a timing passer, but with Lamar's running ability and Henry in the backfield, Worthy is going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities, right? And it's going to be a lot of simple reads where he could just, play action. Now he's running behind the corner, just chuck it.
Yeah, if he goes to, like, he could succeed definitely for like his mobile quarterbacks. Like if he went to the Ravens, if he went to the Colts, if he went to Pittsburgh, even now with Russ/Fields.
Yeah, Russ/Fields.
Who knows how that works out? I'm betting Russ starts at the beginning, but will Fields finish? But there's definitely some opportunities for some mobile quarterbacks paired with him to create some like very interesting mismatches, whether you have him running a crosser along with a rollout or from like a QBR, like a quarterback option with the quarterback run in there mixed in as well. You can use him in some very interesting ways to just really put some tough decisions on some defenders.
The crazy part is the majority of the league has dual threat quarterbacks. So like he's probably going to end up with a dual threat. I mean, like you said, the Colts, Ravens, if he went to the Bills with Josh Allen, if he went to who else he could go to this dual threat. So he could go to the Eagles, which I would not want to see that. Oh my God! You imagine him, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith. Whew.
Yeah, that's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, like there's
maybe
some
Dallas.
Really thoughts. And then on top of that, if you want to maximize him before and after the catch to like really get him in positions to have these insane yak ones, get him to a more precision guy like a Patrick Mahomes or a CJ Stroud.
Jeez.
That's going to be some dangerous stuff right there as well to maximize him in terms of passing volume and yards after the catch.
I don't want to see him with Pat.
And I don't want to see him with CJ Stroud either. So,
well, that's your division. So I understand.
I mocked Xavier Worthy to the Texans in ours.
They already got Tank Dell. Like you already got to deal with Tank twice a year.
Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Worthy. No, I refuse to accept that reality.
They said no, thank you. No, thank you.
But also, there's just going to be so many great wide receiver prospects that you're going to be seeing some good guys going to a bunch of teams.
Yeah.
This is the reload of everyone's wide receiver cores this draft.
Yeah. 8 offensive linemen too. I think linemen and wide receivers are where people are going to get healthy this year at those positions.
And we desperately need the offensive line rebuild for sure, because this was one of the most brutal years for offensive line, pass protection in the league.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's why we had so many injuries. So many backup quarterbacks ended up playing because of injuries. Offensive line play was down bad.
Yeah.
Which is why I think defensive play went up.
If this class hits and develops, this could be a big turning point in the league to try and stop these pass rushers. And because otherwise we're going to see a lot more QB injuries, especially with more mobile quarterbacks who get exposed to more hits. It's going to be continuing to be a problem for a while. But if this class hits like we think it can, it will really help out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with Worthy, he can win in those concentration catches, but if the ball isn't he's not a guy you can just chuck it up to and say he's down there somewhere, he's going to go up and get it.
Like Tyreek.
He can get out-muscled. At the catch point and just
and that's the biggest difference between him and Tyreek is Tyreek is small, he's short, but he's a big kid, he's a big guy who can jump out of the gym, you know what I mean, and he can go up and get a contested catch. That's where this kid reminds me more of Hollywood doesn't do that either. He's a little more physical than Hollywood though. He's actually faster.
Yeah, so I can see that TY kind of comparison fitting in pretty well.
Yeah, the TY, he really does look like TY a lot. Even his body type, he looks exactly like TY.
Now, if you want the guy to go up and get it, though, you're going to need someone with a little bit more of a jump out the gym and also some longer arms. A.D. Mitchell would be the guy from the Texas team, for sure.
Yeah. We can rate John into him in a second.
Yeah.
So okay, overall, give me your opinion of Worthy. Give me some pros, give me some cons.
Well, pros, speed demon with polish. Good hands, great tempo change, crisp routes especially at the top. And can be used in a lot of different levels of your offense and you can really build an offense around this weapon if you so choose to.
Right.
Absolute mismatch against man. If you lose in press, he's gone. But that's the one thing. If you win in press, you can truly knock him off of his tempo and off of his route very, very well. All you gotta do is get the hands on, and then it can be really rough. But again, like you said, there are ways around that, especially how you scheme him open. So, overall, so overall, I'm a big fan of his game, but I do also have to question where that landing spot is to really project him very favorably or not. But there's going to be quite a few really good spots for him.
Yeah, he's so here's my breakdown. So he's a really fun weapon in an explosive offense, right? If you want to build an explosive offense, he's going to be a really fun weapon and tool to utilize in that type of offense. He's not a number one receiver in the NFL. He's not, but he can be a really good, like you said, change of pace guy, vertical threat, a guy that complements your number one, or if you're how teams are doing now, where you don't want to go to a true number one, but you just kind of want to have a group of guys who just complement each other, right? He's going to be the vertical speed demon. always go back to the Ravens as far as like what it seems like EDC has been trying to build over the last few years when he drafted Hollywood and he drafted Bateman and then now he got Zay Flowers. I think he's trying to build layers to the receiving core, right? You want the guy that can pay off, them trying to put 8 in the box to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So you need a guy that can take the top off to make those teams pay that want to do that. You got the guy in Zay Flowers who can take all the drag routes, the underneath routes, the comeback routes, the slants, the twists, whatever you want to throw to him in an intermediate, he can do it. And plus, he can also get behind you as well. You got the 2 tight ends, Likely and Andrews. Those guys attack the middle of the field. And then you got Bateman, who's kind of a do-it-all guy. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. I always say Bateman is like a trick of all trades, a master of none, right? He's not great at anything in particular, but he can do a little bit of everything, right? And like you say, his flaws are he's small. He's 165 pounds, 5'11". If you do get hands on him at the line of scrimmage and you can press him, I mean, he's not a factor. And he could definitely use a little bit more polish at the top of the route, but that's just kind of nitpicking at this point. But I think he's a solid wide receiver in this draft. In a loaded class, definitely a first round pick for me. I will say about right before the college football season ended, I thought he'd be a second round pick. I know he had an injury, and he dealt with a broken hand. He had some issues with injuries. So I thought like maybe second round, but that after that combine, I'm fully convinced someone is going to be in love with that 4.21, and just he's going to be too good to pass up, especially with teams needing wide receivers and wanting more explosiveness added to their offenses. All right, so that's you. That's you. Of course, I'm biased. The worthy is a Xavier guy. Yes. All right, that's funny. Nice pun. All right, Nigerian Nightmare says, "Salute to you, brothers. I hope you are having a wonderful Friday. Check out the stream. Dope. Appreciate you, brother. All right, so this is Xavier Worthy, 2024 wide receiver prospect for the NFL draft. Expect him to go in the first round. Can't wait to see who drafts him. Now we're going to move along to Mr. A.D. Mitchell, and see what Mr. A.D. comes up with. Let's see.
And we know Matt is a huge fan of Adonai Mitchell. Biggest I've seen.
That's funny. Yep. I've been critical of him. There's things that I see on film that doesn't necessarily translate, but hey, this is why we talk about it, right? This is why they play the game. This is why we talk about it.
But hey, personally, I'm willing to invest in the guy, considering he is a absolute freak of nature athlete with reliable hands to boot. I feel like there is that developmental ceiling.
So let me ask you this. How high is too high for Mr. AD?
Well, if I'm picking at 15 as the Colts, I feel like it might be a little high. But if we trade back, I could see him being in a mid-20s kind of pick for the Colts.
Okay.
Or other teams who are already naturally there at mid-25s. Mid-20s. Like, I don't think he should be going ahead of some of these premier defensive players who I think have a little bit more polish and are also really high-end athletes to boot. But once we start getting past some of these guys and, of course, some of the highest upside offensive linemen, that's when I start to see A.D. Mitchell going off of some boards. So,
all right, here we go. This is A.D. Mitchell versus Ohio State, 2022. This is the year before he went to Texas. He played in a rarely stacked offense at Georgia. So let's see. Let's watch some A.D. He killed the combine. I have to give him that. He absolutely dominated the NFL combine and the entire pre-draft process. Now, here's the cool part about this. If you're a Ravens fan, this is Todd Monken's offense. This is literally Todd Monken and A.D. Mitchell. So you can kind of, if you're thinking about A.D. Mitchell as a Raven, you can kind of look to see how he was utilized in Monken's offense, which is kind of fun. Stetson Bennett, quick throw out in the flat. What impresses you the most about him?
Personally, I am very impressed by that combination of hands and athleticism. I think his release package could use a little bit of work at times, but man, he just can really attack the football in the air, in my opinion. And I think there's some really interesting reps. There's some inconsistency at times when he is in contested catch situations, which we can see at times, but there's just some reps that I'm really, really inspired by. And he can run routes. There are like some really genuinely good reps of route running.
Yeah.
Like he can sink his hips and then cut on a dime. The problem is most common that I see on him is effort.
Like, and then he said something too. He said, I don't always run my routes full speed. I was like, why would you say, like, why would you? That's not something I would have told anyone.
Yeah, that's not a flex. Like, you need to run your routes crisp at all times. And on top of that, like, if he's not the focus of the route or the play,
he's lazy. Yes.
He's gonna like take the rep off, basically. Which
he's lazy. That's something I noticed as well. When he knows the ball's not coming his way, or maybe he doesn't know the ball's not coming away, but he doesn't. If he's not, let's say he's not the number one option on a particular play, he's not the first read. You could tell he's not the first read because he acts like he's not the first read. Oh, yeah, also, by the way, that last catch was made by Mr. George Pickens. So he played on a really stacked Georgia offense. I mean, you had Brock Bowers, you have Lad McConkey, right? Then you have AD, George Pickens. So I think he was probably like the third option in the passing game at Georgia.
And then, of course, they got the mammoth himself, Darnell Washington, as their run blocking tight end. Oh,
no wonder they was winning national championships left and right.
Yeah.
Is that him right there? Is that, or that was somebody else? Was that him?
Darnell Washington 0?
No, was that AD on the crossing route? I just wanted to see if it was him or not. Zings it. That looks, is that him?
I think.
Yeah, it was him. It was.
Yeah, it cuts like very weirdly on that one. And it's hard to see the number.
Yeah, it looked like it was number 2, but it was number 5.
Yeah.
That was him.
But yeah, with AD, he is a guy who it definitely also is another coaching fit who can motivate him the best and mentor him the best. Because if you feel like you got a wide receiver room that has like either a vet or a really good wide receiver coach or offensive coordinator who will know how to get his effort consistent, then he's going to be a absolutely insane threat in this league. The problem is, like, he shows the flashes of everything that you kind of want. It's just the rep to rep consistency is just not there right now.
Do you think he needs to go to a team with an established veteran wide receiver in the room, or does it matter? Do you think it matters?
I think it can matter, but what's more important is the wide receiver coach. Like, if the right guy is there in terms of mentorship, that certainly helps. But ultimately, it comes down to which coach can speak to him the right way, can get him to hold himself accountable and put himself in the best positions to succeed. Now, in the interim, while he's building these good habits, I also don't want him to go to a team with a quarterback who is more of an improviser, who will hold on to the ball and try and make something happen. He might not need, like, that could be a great spot for him eventually once he builds up those habits. But in the meantime, it's not going to be the best fit year one for that team unless he really, really shows a lot more consistency on his reps, like from the jump.
So y'all see that? Y'all hear that? Jay saying the Ravens shouldn't draft AD Mitchell. Because
I'm saying
everything
it
he
wouldn't
did,
be the best fit for his skill set
He
early
loves
on.
holding the ball. He definitely holds the ball a lot.
But hey, if Monken is the guy to get the best out of him potentially with their experience previously together, then
I'm wondering.
it might not be year one, but year 2 or 3, you could have something really interesting.
I'm wondering if he transferred from Georgia because Monken left. Because you remember, Monken leaves, and then he leaves the same year Monken leaves. So after this season right here, 2022. So makes me wonder if Monken leaving is part of the reason he left, or what have you. Because initially I thought, I'm like, well, was it the competition? He couldn't take the competition. But George Pickens had already went to the draft. He got drafted. Then you had Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers. So yeah, I mean, obviously he would probably be behind those two.
Yeah.
But
he goes to Texas, and he's still not quite the number one.
Right, he's still not the number one. So it's
but at the very least, he's not in the battle for 3.
Right. He was firmly cemented as the number 2.
Yeah.
Texas. Whereas at Georgia, he might have had to fight a little more.
Yeah. Like, the absolute ceiling for this guy is one of the best wide receivers in the league. But
really,
the floor is definitely scary.
Yeah, see,
like
I see a number 2 receiver in the league. That's what I see.
I see that as the most likely thing, but I can see a scenario where he just puts it all together and just is an insane threat in this league. Like, he's literally the 5th most athletic wide receiver that we've ever seen in testing history.
Testing though. See, that's the thing that always gets people. Brashard Perryman was a really good tester as well.
True.
He ran 4 pro day. You know what I mean? Like, the dude was an athletic.
It wasn't as good as what we've got from him. And like, the number 1 guy is Calvin Johnson, and he's he doesn't have that same size, but he's definitely got a similar speed profile and explosiveness.
But here's the thing, though. When Calvin was coming out of Georgia Tech, you could turn on the film and you could see him dominate. Right? Mm-hmm. That was the thing. I kept telling people in spaces, for a guy who tested the way he tested at the combine, why didn't he dominate? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't he dominate at any point in college? He never dominated. With a guy with that athletic profile should dominate, especially lower competition. Now, I'm not expecting you to dominate Alabama or Georgia or whatever, right? Like, but you didn't dominate, Oklahoma State or Iowa State or Oklahoma, right? Like, why didn't he dominate against defenses, against college teams that aren't really known for defense when he has that athletic profile? It scares me because he strikes me as a guy who performs well, right, in a flag football 7-on-7 situation, but with the pads on, he doesn't look like the same player. That national championship game against Washington would have been a prime, not national championship, but the college football playoff against Washington would have been a prime opportunity for him to dominate that game. He did make splashes. He did score a touchdown, but he did not dominate that game in the way I thought he should have.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's the absolute ceiling, but can he get to it? There's definitely some questions. So most likely, like you said, wide receiver 2 in this league.
Yeah.
But I can at least see the vision of him becoming a 1 and being a really, really good one. It's just, there's definitely a floor there, and the effort will scare a few teams off.
Agreed. That's why I say, how high is too high? Because I could definitely see him going in the first, but how high is too high? Man, Joe World says Snead trade. Oh, Snead has been traded. L'Jarius Snead has been traded to the Tennessee Titans. Yep. The Chiefs are finalizing the deal to send franchise cornerback L'Jarius Snead to the Titans. Chiefs are expected to receive a 2025 third-round pick in addition to a 2024 seventh-round pick. Seventh-round pick flop.
Yeah, it's a switch.
What? All they got was a third next year in the
I was telling Javon earlier that the most that the Chiefs were getting in trade compensation that I've been hearing was a third. No one was offering a 2 or above. And I was hearing a third and a day 3 pick. I didn't hear quite the specifics on that, but yeah.
My boy, I can't wait to start a space. Joe said I'm about to crash out. He was breaking his whole offseason on getting L'Jarius Sneed to the Colts,
Listen,
bro.
I was very optimistic after what I had heard from a few of my guys. However, the wheels fell off when it came to the negotiation price. And so that's what the thing. Don't get hung up on how much the trade cost was, because the trade cost was not the issue. The question is, how much did the Titans pay Sneed for this deal?
So, wow, breaking news. While
They have the framework of an agreement that they have been working on for days per sources, according to Schefter. It will need to be formalized after he passes a physical, and they'll make him one of the highest paid cornerbacks in NFL history.
Wow.
Which I like Sneed a lot.
You guys got a lot of cap space, man. Why not go for it?
Us? We don't have as much as Tennessee, but also I think there are some other avenues that they want to explore with some of that money, especially in DB. I think Sneed is the best guy that they could have gotten.
Right.
But I
think you're gonna be fine with Quinyon Mitchell, man. Take Quinyon Mitchell and just move. That kid Quinyon Mitchell. I told somebody in Spaces in 2-3 years, he's gonna be a better player than Sneed. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be a better player because he has the traits and the profile, and then on top of it,
the tape's insane.
The tape is insane. Like Sneed was more of a overachiever, right? Like he overachieved a lot, right? And he in that scheme that they run in Kansas City helped him a lot as well. We're gonna see how good he is in Tennessee, right? Because we've seen guys get paid. I always think about Josh Norman. He looked like he was the best corner in the league, and then he went to the Redskins, and then he just looked like a normal guy, right? And so we've seen this before.
Play is very temperamental year to year for even some of the best guys. And while I really liked Sneed and thought, hey, this guy is a top 10, possible top 5 corner, he's going to get paid like he's the best corner in football. And yeah, I got some questions with some of his profile on that. What?
I'm really confused about what do the Titans do? Like, are they trying to win? Like, because I thought this was going to be like a rebuild, but not the way they throwing money around. I mean, and they're throwing money around to like not old guys, but older guys.
Yeah, like Ridley, they went for Cushenberry, which Cushenberry I liked.
I do like
and then I liked them actually paying up for a good pass blocking center because they sorely missed Ben Jones. And Ben Jones wasn't a great center, but he was a good enough, especially in pass pro. And Brewer was terrible for them last year.
Wow. And
Sneed gone. Don't like that he's in the division, but not unexpected. Let's see how much money they give him.
All right. So Niner by Nature says, what do you guys think about Xavier Legette? What's your opinion on Legette? I'll give you mine after you're done.
I think that he's got a lot of those AJ Brown traits that you can look for in terms of course, the build. Like he is a running back he's a wide receiver in a running back body in terms of weight and how he's willing to throw it and his running style. But he showed a lot of development as a route runner in this past year that we had not seen previously and had a big blow up. The athleticism is there, but he still isn't the best route runner in the league. There was a big stride, but it's not the finished product yet. So I see a lot of potential with him, especially with his athletic profile, especially with how fierce he runs. And he's a menace for opposing DBs to tackle. Like he will just power through some guys and has speed to outright run them as well. So I'm interested to see where he lands. I think because of his late breakout, he might not go as high as some of these other guys that we've talked about, but Like it took 5 years for him to break out,
Yeah,
and some of it was
I
because
was
of him,
that's where I was going to go. So,
but some of it was
for me,
outside of his control as well. He was going through
for
quite a
me,
bit in terms of emotional
it
stuff
was.
with his parents dying. He had to go through COVID. There was like a lot of stuff that went on early on that just sidelined him from truly breaking out.
Man, listen, that's me. That like I felt like I like the size, I like the speed, but he kind of runs clumsy. Like he's not a smooth athlete. Sometimes he does fight the ball. Like he has strong hands. He snatches it at times, but also at times it looks like he's kind of like a little bit too aggressive trying to catch the football. Then also you can see the rawness when you watch the film. Like he's definitely raw, and the 5 years thing bothered me as well. It's like, bro, with that athletic profile, with that speed, size, you're a 5th-year senior. Excuse me. Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Like I just and then like is last year a sign of things to come, or was that an outlier?
Yeah,
Right. That's the decision you got to make when you're thinking about drafting him high. Is that was last year fool's gold, or was that more of who he's going to be going forward? And that's a big projection.
It's the lack of overall tape outside of that 1 year that makes you go, all right, like you said, fool's gold, or is it a sign of things to come? Because it was quite a big jump from what he previously was. Like before the year, like I don't think many people even had much of a drafting grade on him. Like if they did, it was going to be day 3.
Right.
But then he has this insane year, and now we're talking about possible round 1 hype, which I could see him maybe sneaking into the very end, but I think more likely he's going to be early round 2.
All right, so this is AD at Texas, just last season versus Kansas. Nice adjustment to the ball on that one. He knew he was going to get hit too, so to adjust on that and catch that, I like that. Come back route, sits down, catches the ball, first down. You can see him coming off with the route right here. Like it.
Yeah.
Nice. Focus on the sideline. You can see the development from Georgia to Texas for sure.
Yeah.
Different offense, more opportunities.
Good job extending for the ball instead of letting it hit him in the chest.
Yep. Ooh.
Yeah, damn, that was a broken play.
Yeah, broken play. I was like, wasn't much of an effort to try to block that guy. Like he just kind of reached.
The play was broken more so on the strong side rather than the weak side, but he wasn't exactly helping on the weak side.
Right. Ooh, love Malachi Corley. He's Debo Samuel light to me.
Yeah, I talked to Malachi during the Senior Bowl. I was very impressed with him, both in his performance there and his mentality.
Yeah,
I'm really interested in seeing where he lands for sure, because
he went there with a purpose. He went there with a he came there to take care of business. I like that.
Yeah, and I also saw like when he was at the combine, he looked physically different than when he was at the Senior Bowl. Like the man absolutely bulked up and shredded for the combine and put in a lot of work, which a lot of guys, of course, like go through their special training, but it was very impressive even compared to some of the other guys that I was seeing at the Senior Bowl. Like, he's he's dedicated to getting himself in the best shape possible for a yak guy who you want to absolutely break tackles and put people on skates. You love to see it. Might not have this same like down the field threat just because of how he was used, but
Right.
I think he did show some interesting routes, or particular at the Senior Bowl in practices to try and justify, hey, I can be also used a little bit more in intermediate and maybe deep. Still not something that we see enough on tape to say, oh, I'm confident in those zones, but I'm at least intrigued to see if he can get to those other levels of the defense.
Niner by nature says he needs to be in a 49er jersey. Yeah, Xavier Worthy. I mean, not Xavier Worthy. Malachi Coley is a dog, man.
Mm.
Yeah, one of my favorite guys in this draft.
Yeah, man, I'm interested to see like a cool landing spot for him in like round 2 potentially would be like Cincinnati, because they didn't keep Tyler Boyd, but they did keep T, and they do have Jamar.
Yeah.
Like that's a spot that if you just keep him as your pure slot guy for yards after the catch with those two guys going deep, oh man, Joe Burrow is going to feast with him.
Mm-hmm. Jerry Sneed to the Titans. Whew. Titans trying to do something. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're trying to do something.
They really putting all their eggs in the Levis basket.
Yeah, which they should though, because I like Levis. I think Levis. I like Levis when he was in college. The year before his last year, he looked really good. He looked like a top 5 quarterback, and then the next year he kind of fell apart. I think it was because he was trying to do too much. And then
his
last year's
2022 tape was so much better than, or his 2021 tape was so much better than 2022. But then like he got very frazzled by the pressure there, and the accuracy was all over the place. Plus decision making was rough.
Right, but his rookie season last year, he showed some good signs. He showed, he had his typical rookie ups and downs, but he showed something that that lets me know he can play in the league.
Will Levis is a gamer in the sense of he's either going to throw either the most insane throw that you've ever seen, and there's going to be some great highlights on YouTube, or basically a 360 no scope, to put it in perspective for gaming. Or he's going to have the worst kill to death ratio and throw his controller at the TV screen, shattering everything. Like he was throwing some absolute ducks with some really bad decisions, and then man, he takes a lot of ugly sacks. Like the pressure was a lot because of Tennessee's offensive line being terrible, but he didn't make things better quite a few times as well. That I can see that there's going to be some frustration there if he doesn't develop. But hey, the boom or bust. You're either going to get that specialness or you're going to get disaster. They're betting on the specialness.
I like that division though. All young quarterbacks. Richardson.
Yeah, Will Levis is also the oldest quarterback in the division.
Yep, Stroud, Levis, Richardson, and Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do. We got to check back with us on the next stream. I got to get our Patreon set up, man, or our where we can take the donations. We can get that set up, man, so we can support the channel. We do appreciate it, though. Thanks, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Anything to make the channel better, that's what it's all about. So,
hey, we also get our merch store open at some point soon.
Yep. Shout out to Javon getting all the Draft Nerds merch, man. Listen, man, Draft Nerds, man, it's a movement. You know what I'm saying? Only the best can consider themselves a draft nerd. Do you watch film? Are you studying these guys? Do you know your guys? You know your prospects? Are we giving hot takes, or are we giving real analogy based on, film watching, based on evaluations. I love it though. I love draft season, man. And I also love, just talking to draft Twitter and everybody who's just so into the game, man. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, overall synopsis on AD Mitchell.
He's got the tools, but he's got to put it all together, like we've been saying. Like the effort is just not there from play to play, but you see flashes of basically everything that you could want in a guy. It's just putting it all together. Get the right coach in front of him to cut down on some of these lazy routes, stop rounding the top of it, and of course, putting more effort in when he's not the primary guy. And you're going to have some really, really nice plays from AD Mitchell on top of a very high upside as one of the most athletic wide receivers that we have seen.
Indeed.
On top of that, you can at bare minimum bet on the hands translating with that athletic profile. So even if his route running does need some work, there's some very translatable stuff with there.
Agreed. I like his I like the upside, like you said. He does have upside for sure. You just want to see him, show that upside. Let me pull this up real quick. You just want to see him be more consistent with the upside and just kind of show what he shows in workouts in games.
All right, I think we're having some issues right now with Matt's connection. He's been cutting in and out.
Yeah, that's on me.
Matt, you
My
back?
bad. My bad. Hey, so there's a button on my mouse that if I click it, it literally takes me out of the space. I don't know. I need to stop hitting buttons that I don't normally hit. But
Matt, keep your hands off your keyboard, my man.
Yes, keep him off the keyboard.
Mouse.
That mouse is live, man. It's hot.
Hot mouse.
Hot mouse is crazy.
Man, we're gonna just put up a merch of along with the Draft Nerds hat. We're just gonna have an image of a mouse on fire.
Hot mouse.
And then just like
that's gonna be a draft nerd thing, man. Hot mouse, man. Hey, but look, so I'd like his upside, right? But I'd want to see him take the combine stuff, the workout stuff, and translate it and put it into the game, right? I want to see him dominate smaller DBs, slower DBs. He's 6'2", right? And he ran a 4.3. I want to see that. I want to see that in the game, right? I want to see a dude who's 6'2" and runs a 4.3 and has insane athletic ability. Like that's what I want to see. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of it. And like you said, when the ball's not coming his way, you kind of see a lack of effort, right? And so I want to see more from my guy. I've been critical of him. I don't hate the kid. I'm just not as high on him as a prospect as a lot of other people are. So with that being said, this was the last cut up of him against TCU. Then we're gonna go move on. Who's next?
Well, we got dealer's choice right now. So we could go with Cooper DeJean, the Iowa guy who has been capturing a lot of imagination for where can you line him up. Could he be the first white cornerback that we've seen in a long time? Because there was one last draft who did not even play a single snap. Or are we going to see that natural shift to the stereotype position of safety?
Yeah. He said, what about Marius Mims? Marius Mims scared me because, again, he's like the AD Mitchell of tackles, right? Like all the athletic traits you could ever want. Size, just dude looks like he was created in the lab. But two things about him that scared me. Excuse me. His lack of experience. I think he only played 8 games. And then his injuries, right? Mm-hmm. Those injuries, like I don't know how you couldn't be afraid or scared of those injuries because injuries are real, man. Like it's real. So I want to see him. I want to know, like, hey, okay, what happened, right? Like, is it just his body kind of failing him, or is it a just bad luck, right? I just kind of want to know, like, and then his lack of experience. He just hasn't played a lot of football, so there is a lot of boom with him, but unfortunately there's also a lot of bust with him, and you know,
Yeah, he is a very special athlete in terms of the sheer size paired with his movement skills is a blend that you're not going to see very often. But
right,
like you said, that inexperience, the very little amount of tape that we have to go off of on him, that can scare off a few teams. There's some really nice reps there, but then it's just not a whole picture. And then
right,
to top that off, like you were saying, the injuries. We've had a lot of great developments in medical sports science and recovery. However, guys are still going to get banged up in the pros. And if these injury history continues, there's a real threat that he's out of the league within the next like couple of years quicker than a lot of other these guys.
right.
Like fingers crossed that doesn't happen naturally, but it's scary. And that's a big risk for a team to put, especially if we're going to be investing round one draft
Right,
capital in
right.
him, which a team is going to take that shot. You're either going to get a potential franchise tackle or you're going to get a guy who you might not be able to roster in 3 years. The range is pretty wide for him in terms of his outcomes, but I'm interested to see if he lands the right spot and everything falls right, how high that ceiling can be, because it's very.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's the potential is there. It's like, okay, but I've seen a lot of guys like that, right? With that profile, that just didn't work out because the injuries. Like you don't get to the league and just stop being injured. Let's see. Let's see. Not seeing him. I might have to send a request. All right. Mm,
Ooh.
uh
Uh, Schultz is reporting the details of L'Jarius Sneed's contract.
huh.
It is, according to his sources, 19 million average per year over 4 years with $55 million guaranteed.
Wow.
That was the big stickler, was the guarantees from what I heard from the Colts.
So I'm gonna call an audible in this one. I can't get the Kamara tape as of right now, but let's not. That's why not talk about the guy we was just talking about. Let's break down the Marius Mims, man. Let's check out his film. Um, because I believe there's a lot of people who are, you know, curious. That's him at right tackle. I mean, the dude is the way you draw it up. He's definitely he's the way you draw it up for sure.
He's going to maul some people in the run game. Like
He's
that
huge.
wingspan is a weapon.
There he is at number 65. He's got super long arms. The injuries, man. That's the only thing. Yes, sir. AD, we know, man. He got traded to the Titans. That's crazy. kind of looks overextended a little bit in this when he drops in the pass protection. Like he doesn't get set all the way. Look, he's kind of like, I like those movement though. His movement's good.
Yeah, he will recover for sure.
Yeah, I like his feet. Finding work, keeping your head on the swivel. Oh, you see how he come off that combo? Oh my, look at that. Run that back. Let's see that again. That was fun.
Rewind.
Watch this.
Rewind.
Oh, we gotta go back. Yeah, we gotta go back. We gotta go back. That was
Move
fun.
back.
I think it's after this one. Somebody gonna let this. Watch it.
Oh,
yeah.
Knocked him off the spot like that.
One more time. Let's go back again. Let's go back in. That was nice.
That's some bully ball right there.
He peeled off of one, and you get some too. That was nice.
Especially with how low he got comparatively. Like, he is a giant guy.
Yeah,
and he got under them pads.
Yeah, he did.
Well done.
Put his helmet right under the chin strap. That's where you do it.
Just pop him out there.
Here we go again. Pass protection. He seems like a grabber sometimes, though. Like he reaches a lot.
Yeah, there's going to be some holding calls against him early on.
For sure. He's got to learn how to stop grabbing. Play action. Let's see. Nice. Oh, fine work. Fine work. Offensive line. Block it out. I like it. I like it. I like a lot of what this kid does, man. It's just the injuries. It's like, God, man, can we keep him healthy?
Yeah, he's going to seek out contact. He keeps his head on a swivel, like you've been saying. Ooh, and when he finds it, defenders regret that they are the hair to be found.
This is fun. Yeah, somebody gonna take him and be like, you know what? I'm gonna trust that we can keep him healthy.
Yeah. Like, I'd be really interested to see if he goes with the Bengals as well. Because they could use a pure tackle for him, especially left.
Yeah.
And could they bet on that developmental upside? Because they've missed on quite a bit of offensive line picks over the years. Especially round one.
Oh, he's out of this one. He's not in the game. He went on the game that last play. Did he get hurt?
Yep.
Oh, Steve Rives says Caleb Williams will be the next Ryan Leaf.
There will never be another Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf is a one of one, man.
I don't know. I don't think he was, because after Ryan Leaf, walked so that Jamarcus Russell could run.
Fair, but I'm saying the issues that Ryan Leaf was doing in that locker room.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf had some talent.
See a guy like that.
I've never seen a dude just He had talent, bro. He had a rifle right arm. And he was big, strong quarterback. Like, I can see why most people thought he would succeed, but people didn't know he was a head case. A lot of people didn't realize he was just mentally just very fragile.
Yeah, he had some competitiveness issues and an ego that would not stop. But if you don't put in the work and you have that ego, guys are going to find that out. They're going to call you out on it. And if you don't respond to that well, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, like, he then got in trouble with the law afterwards. It was a whole thing. He thankfully has gotten into a much better place now in his life. He's trying to help these quarterbacks avoid some of those same pitfalls. But he was a truly interesting case study, and especially being right after Peyton Manning. Oh,
yeah.
So yeah, you can say that Caleb Williams will be a bust. I'm going to disagree, but if you're going to say that he's going to be a Ryan Leaf, I don't see that personality type. Like, I know some people are putting the diva label on Caleb. I don't see it to the extent of a Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf was like,
yeah, people are throwing out some names. Ugh.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into this Cooper DeJean. Because Ravens fans are starting to get excited about this guy, man. They're saying, hey, if he is there, EDC should run the card up. So let's look at why you hearing Ravens fans say that now.
Because here's the thing. He's not going to have the same pre-draft hype as a lot of these other cornerbacks that you've been hearing throughout this last couple months, because the man's simply been hurt. He hasn't been running the drills. He hasn't been testing. He's just been interviewing and rehabbing. So you're not going to get that same hype train. But man, don't be confusing him for a bad athlete by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. Yeah.
He is a phenomenal athlete that you can put almost anywhere on a defensive back end or even like in the box. Like, pairing him up with a Kyle Hamilton would be a very fun, versatile duo for a defense.
Yeah, it would be almost cheating. I'm talking about, because they would be probably the two most versatile defensive backs in the league. Talk about as a duo, because they can switch off. Like, one can go play in the nickel, one can go play safety, the other one can then jump outside and play corner while the other one plays the nickel. Like, oh my God, they're interchangeable. And we're not even talking about the other guys like B. Steve and Marlon Humphrey. B. Steve is Brandon Stevens, by the way. Marlon Humphrey, or someone like Marcus Williams, who's a ball hawk. But just those two alone, Kyle Hamilton and Cooper DeJean would just be crazy.
Yeah, and to top it off, he's a good run defender as well. Like, he is aggressive, crashing into and breaking into backfields.
Yes, he is.
Like,
he's
he'll
a great
off the blocker.
Oh, look at that. So he's I wanted to put this film on because against Michigan, obviously JJ McCarthy is considered a top 10 pick in this draft. And Michigan has some receivers that will be in the league. They won a national championship, so it's good to see, how he looked against those guys. Here he is on the outside. He's got great speed, so he can press or he could play off. Doesn't matter. Excuse me.
Like,
doesn't
if
matter.
You want to see a good view of his like absolute pure athleticism, he also was their punt returner, and he returned quite a few of them to the house at Iowa, including one that was called back. That was so crazy. It was a punt that hit the ground, hobbled up in the air. All defenders kind of running around near him. He grabs it, instantly turns on the jets, breaks like 3 or 4 guys, like angles immediately, hugs the sideline, cuts it back, goes all the way around like the rest of the defenders, and just goes practically untouched. And the only reason it was called back was because he kind of did this, and it was almost like a fake of waving his arm to call a fair catch, and because of that, they called it back. But the athleticism's there.
Absolutely, athleticism's there. You know, when I'm watching film on DBs, I always like to watch and see how often are they around the ball, right? Like, and I'm just talking about ball carriers. Are they running to the fight, or are they kind of staying away? To let you know the mentality of a DB. You know, how often is he around the ball? Is every time you watch a play, he's his numbers there, right? He's always, even whether he makes a tackle or not, he's there. I always kind of look at that and just kind of like watching his awareness. You know, is he a guy that kind of likes to look at the quarterback's eyes and make plays, or is he just an instinctual athlete who understands what the offense is trying to do? Okay.
Good hit.
I would have liked to see him come up and initiate that a little more. Watch this. Comes down. He kind of like waits for Corum to get to him. Go get him. You know, shoot your shot.
Though, if he was a little bit more aggressive, there was the possible opportunity for the back cut to the outside. So I do at least kind of understand why he wasn't maybe going as aggressive, but you could also see him maybe get one more step in.
Yeah.
Just to kind of minimize the amount of space that this guy had. Damn, buffering, our greatest enemy.
So good. All right, so
you're gonna see also compared to some of these other quarterbacks, he might not have as many press reps.
Right. Yeah, he's in zone a lot.
Yeah. But hey, we shifted more zone heavy in the NFL right now.
Agreed. The Ravens ran a lot of zone coverage last year.
Like he'll watch the quarterback's eyes very, very well. Smart guy, combined with that athlete, and if healthy, like I would say, there's a pretty strong case for him to be that top corner in this draft class. The problem is he's working back from, I believe it's a fibula injury. And I just know I want to see how he's doing physically and like the medicals. But I'm not privy to the information that the NFL guys are going to be getting for his medicals specifically, but I've heard optimistic things. So if he's ready to go, he should be by training camp. He's going to be really, really fun to watch.
He didn't run at the combine, did he?
No, he hasn't done a single thing for this entire pre-draft process, for combine, pro day, Senior Bowl, nothing. He's just recovering.
I know he did some interviews.
Yeah. But had he ran, he was going to be a possible 4.3 guy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, at bare minimum, low 4.4s.
Yeah, he can scoop. I think what you're seeing is a lot of guys who played receiver in high school transition over to DB. And that's why you're getting some of these DBs coming out that are so athletic and so fast. A lot of them are converted wide receivers.
And an issue that you sometimes see with these converted wide receivers is they don't seek out that contact.
No, exactly. They still got that
Cooper DeJean is about that smoke. He's going to go after that contact. He is not that typical convert.
No, for sure. Like this kid a lot, man.
All right. So I just found out that $55 million guaranteed for Snead is $10.5 million more than the next highest guaranteed amount for a cornerback in NFL history.
That's insane.
And again, this is for Snead, who I really like on tape, but He's 27 years old. He's got some medical question marks, and he's never made a Pro Bowl or All-Pro in his career.
L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah.
He wasn't All-Pro last year?
Wasn't All-Pro. Wasn't a Pro Bowler for what it's worth nowadays, because Pro Bowl is
right.
Well,
right, like
I'm going to go into that right now. We'd be talking way too long. But yeah, like the man does not have the profile and like resume to match that pay compared to some of these other cornerback ones that we've done. Especially the guarantees is the sticking point. That was with the Colts.
Like you playing right in the zone. Yeah, they ran a lot of zone in this game. Looks like it was a cover 3.
Yeah, they were trying to dare him to air it out more.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, come on, try and find the soft part in our zone, and we'll see if we can read, react, and fool you. Because you also see them try and move up some of their linebackers at times, because they were keeping an eye on Edwards and Corum throughout the game, because that's the bread and butter of the offense, of course, for Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, this kid, man, listen. He's an athlete. I mean, he's going to be your kick returner. He's going to be your corner or your safety. Just a football player. Wherever you need him, just put him there. All right, let's check out one last guy. We got Mr. Quinyon Mitchell coming up. One of the fastest risers of this draft at the defensive back position. We will get into more Cooper DeJean at another time. Just want to make some time for Quinyon Mitchell, but we will get into more of his film, break down more of what he does, his strengths and weaknesses. All right, so let's get into Quinyon Mitchell. All right. This is against Miami of Ohio. Quinyon Mitchell, Mr. Future Indianapolis Colt.
The Toledo Rockets versus the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. Ooh, sideline throw. Guess what? Shouldn't have thrown it.
Incomplete.
You know what the result is if you're going to throw to him. Why do it? Don't test him.
The coach made a good decision, man. Get this kid, let Snead go and drain the bank account.
Yeah.
Of your division rivals.
Especially if he's got the medical concerns that they were apparently very worried about, especially with that amount of guarantee. Jeez.
Yeah. He's sticky, man.
Mm-hmm. He just stays right in a wide receiver's hip pocket.
Yeah. This kid, I always wonder how a kid like this ends up at like Toledo, right? Like the bigger schools didn't want no piece of this kid.
Well, he chose to stay there. Like there were transfer opportunities throughout his time at Toledo, especially after his 2022 season, where he was, I think, top 2, top 3 in pass defenses in all of like Power 5 football or in Division 1 football. He was shutting guys down in MAC, and a lot of teams, including like some of the higher end SEC teams, wanted to see him there. But he stuck with his guys at Toledo, had another dominant year on tape, and justified his hype with his Senior Bowl performance. Like, honestly, the only time I really ever saw him get beat consistently on tape was versus Ohio State in 2022. But that was because it was CJ Stroud throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, like JSN. It was a tough assignment for a lot of those corners. And he did decently well for quite a few of those. Like he got burned on a touchdown by Marvin Harrison Jr., but it was like almost as good of a coverage as you could realistically ask for anyone to put him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he nearly shoved him out of bounds too, negating the touchdown.
Oh, yeah. You actually going to make me go to that game because that game was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Because he hung with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he hung with Marvin, like, you know what I mean? Like it was a good game.
Yeah, it was like more JSN and Egbuka that got more trouble for him than Marvin because Marvin only had that one catch on him. Like I think he had 4 or 5 catches given up to the other two.
All right, here we go. It's Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, barely a coverage rep there. Didn't even look them all. Yeah, that was just a quick RPO to one side. Didn't even look at Quinyon's direction.
Yeah. All right. Quinyon's at the top of your screen.
Mm-hmm.
He's just alert at all times. Like he's always just where, like he's just all. Now we talk about always around the ball. This kid's always around the ball.
Yeah, you see him hopping in there, just making sure. Like plenty of other cornerbacks would just walk to there. This man literally just keeping his feet moving, ready to pounce if something breaks out. Especially if like someone doesn't have a late whistle or something like that. Never know. Yep. Standing at the top of the screen.
Oh, that was a good break.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see him getting beat a lot, like straight beat. Like if he gets beat, the guy just won, right? 1-on-1.
Yeah.
He's not getting smoked.
Yeah, and he wasn't getting beat over the top of his routes in particular. He's got plenty of recovery speed to make sure that guys aren't going over him vertically. Plus, he's just very, very strong for his size.
Yeah, it was just so unfair. Ohio State. I don't know how Ohio State doesn't win a national championship with this roster, man. Marvin Harrison, JSN, CJ Stroud. Like, what? How is this team not winning natty?
Hell, Henderson when he's healthy that year.
I think Emeka Egbuka was the third option.
Yeah. And he's coming back this year, and he's going to be trying to threaten for another round 1 wide receiver from Ohio State yet again.
That's why he went back. I think he was going to be probably a second round pick if he came out this year. He didn't really have.
He's like, you know what? I'm just not going to join the most stacked wide receiver draft in a decade or two. I'll just wait for an opportunity to be a round 1 guy next year.
Quinyon at the top of your screen again. Like that's JSN he's got on him.
Yep.
Stroud doesn't even look his way.
There was a possible opportunity for throw there, but you'd have to make sure you don't go high or else he's going to pick it. All right, we got more of a bunch jumbo. Play action.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of plays on Quinyon Mitchell's side of the football field.
No, notice that they run away from him. They throw away from him. They know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Ohio State was very well aware of who he was when they did their film. Looks like most all the plays are exclusively to the other side. Missed tackle. Missed tackle. That guy is him. Come on, Quignon, get down in there, man. Get dirty. Watch him on this one. Shoot it. Nah. He literally ran into the blocker.
Yeah.
He made a business decision on that one. We got you, Quignon. We saw you.
All right. He has to fall to 46 now. Nah. He ain't falling out of the top 20.
No.
Nah. Hell, he could go. I've heard talk of some teams being interested in him in top 10.
If he gets to 30, he's going to be a Raven. I can tell you that much. A Raven.
You better start trying to trade up if you're trying to get Quignon.
No, I don't think we want to get him, but if he happens to fall to them by some weird reason, I think they take him.
Clean pocket all day.
Yeah, he might be the highest drafted Toledo player in quite some time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on who's the highest drafted Toledo player I've ever seen, and
I thought Chester.
A few names there.
No, not a lot.
Yeah. I'm thinking this might be where the touchdown happens.
Yeah, I think it's down when they get in the red zone. So give me your strengths and weaknesses of Mr. Mitchell here. Here it is right here. I think this is it. Yep. Back up top. I mean, bro, you can't even play that no better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he stays with him almost the entire way, nearly shoves him out of bounds and contests it.
That's just Marvin
Harrison. This is against Marvin Harrison Jr. of all people. Right. Like, he barely got his second foot down.
Yeah. That was just Marvin being Marvin, man. Marvin the Marvelous.
Like, so I don't know if there's very many cornerbacks in the NFL who could play that better.
Right. So what's your eval on him? What you think? Strengths, weaknesses?
Strengths, definitely athletic profile. Point of it at the catch point, he's going to contest every single thing that he can, and he will be very aggressive with his hands in that. In like just fighting in the air. Recovery speed is phenomenal as well. Even if you do beat him initially, he's going to track you right back down and get an opportunity to break up the pass, especially if it's not perfectly placed. He's going to make sure that he's in the area to make something happen. Honestly, not a whole lot of weaknesses on tape. He still is a really solid run defender. He might not be the best in this class, but he's at least an above average run defending corner. Like, he does not miss very many tackles. Pretty reliable in that regard. It's just the biggest thing that I have in terms of coverage on him is he didn't have a crazy amount of reps in press on tape. Right. There were a few, and he did look really nice when he did go in press, but just isn't a huge sample size. So I can see some teams who are like very press heavy, like for example, Kansas City Chiefs. He's not going to be there when the Chiefs pick, but if hypothetically he was there, he might not be the best fit for a Steve Spagnuolo defense.
Right.
But shoot, I think they made an exception for their prototype if it's him.
Right. I would say for me, man, he's strong prototypical outside DB, right? Very, very sticky in coverage. He will come up and hit you. Um, you know, just a really good football player, athletic, like his feet. He's got really good technique. You can tell he was coached well. Um, Flaws, man. I mean, sometimes he kind of tends to play too soft in coverage sometimes, maybe relying a little bit too much on his athleticism. He does make business decisions here and there when it comes to tackling. And yeah, man, other than that, I think he's a solid first round draft pick this year.
Yeah, you can look at him and you can see the potential to be a shutdown cornerback one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you don't lead the all of college football in passes broken up over the last 2 years
Right.
without having something good on tape in terms of like shutdown cornerback ability, especially with what he was being asked to do at times.
Mhm.
Now, level of competition was always the big question mark, of course, and when he erased that like instantly at the combine, especially
Mhm.
since, or not in the combine, in Senior Bowl, because in the Senior Bowl they have one-on-ones between wide receivers and corners. They're
Right.
running routes, the camp arms are thrown to them, and despite that, it still favors the wide receiver because they got
Oh
all the
yeah.
space in the
Yeah.
world.
All that
They
space.
are one-on-one. Like, there's no shifting through traffic or anything like that. It's just you and a corner. So the advantage is on the wide receiver, and not many people were winning reps against him at all, let alone consistently. So
Agreed.
matched up against a lot of different body types, a lot of different high-end wide receivers in this draft class, and he shot them all down.
Yeah, he's a dog, man. He's a dog for sure.
Like, I think he had more interceptions in that like practice than anyone else in the entire like Senior Bowl
Yeah, his
roster.
one-on-ones, man. I think I'm gonna do the one-on-ones one day. I'm gonna live stream all the one-on-ones from the Senior Bowl, man. It was
fun.
something. It was definitely fun watching
Yeah,
those
I
guys.
caught up with him after the very first day. And I was like, "Man, you do realize you made some money today?" And he's like, "Oh, damn." But
Yeah,
yeah,
I know you, man. What was your biggest takeaway from your interview with him?
he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. He loves to be a student of the game. The guy that he wants to model his game after the most is Jairi Alexander or Darius Slay. Those are the two guys who he really, really is a big fan of. I can see a lot of both their game in him. So, I mean, he also, like, loyalty is a big thing for him. He was loyal to his program. He wanted to make sure that he helped build something with Toledo. Like, it ain't just about the money, it ain't just about the glitz or glamour. He wants to put the people that he knows and trusts, like, and build something with them. So I like that.
Yeah. Quinion, first round pick. Will he be a Colt? Will he be a Steeler? How high can he go? Right? How high will he go? Hmm. Yes, sir. Quinion Mitchell, man, dog. Big dog. Like, why? I mean, he's just so instinctual, bro. I absolutely love his tape. Look at that. He's like so sticky in coverage. Love it. Watch this. Okay, getting into it over there. All right. All right. Well, I'll say it's been a good, fun film session. And man, I can't wait to do it again with you guys, man. Hey, make sure y'all send us a message. Let us know who you guys want us to do film on next. We jumped into a couple of guys today, but as we get closer to the draft, we're going to be going deeper into these guys. Like I definitely want to go over Cooper DeJean again. I definitely want to kind of dive more into his strengths, his weaknesses, my comp for him, where I can see him getting drafted, and his potential in the NFL. AD Mitchell, we checked out today. Xavier Worthy. There's some guys I want to go over again. So I definitely want to talk about Javon Baker coming up on the next stream. Wide receiver from UCF, shows a lot of potential. Want to get into some of these defensive players. It's a lot of talk about the offense, man, but we got to get into these defensive players. So, any last words? Any parting words, sir? Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
I gotta say, like and subscribe to the channel. We always appreciate it. It helps us with the algorithm online. Keep your eye out for the Patreon that's going to be coming out soon. And of course, the merch store that we're going to have opening up. Of course, we need to design the mouse on fire just for Matt.
We're going to do a competition. Whoever can send us the coolest mouse on fire design, we're going to send you some free merch, man. We got you.
Yeah. So another great episode with you, Matt. It's getting a little late in my time zone.
My time zone, man. It's still early. But I appreciate you, Jay, man.
West Coaster, you son of a gun.
Hey, all the other draft nerds out there, man. We love you. We appreciate you. Until next time. Peace.